Gears, welcome to the Onyx Academy, where I will be covering the basics of Horde in today's video. Everything about Horde's mechanics will be covered, with more in-depth videos covering specific topics coming out shortly after this one. Horde mode puts you and up to 4 players in a match against AI controlled enemies, covering all the different factions. There are 12 different Horde game modes, each having their own settings and enemies found within. But first, let's cover the basics. Taking the standard Horde mode right now, which includes 50 waves of enemies, with the waves getting gradually harder, including a mini boss wave at waves 15, 25, 35 and 45, and major boss waves every 10th wave. At the start of each wave, enemies are spawned from a pool of sorts that you can find in the top left up here. Stronger enemies will have a higher cost to spawn, and the wave is beaten when all enemies are defeated and the pool is reduced to 0. This pool is increased every wave, then resets after beating major boss waves. Beating a boss wave will also add an additional mechanic called a poison, but I will cover those slightly later. Going back to the enemy pool, let's use 50 as an example for wave 1 in a standard 50 wave Horde. Every subsequent wave pool size will then increase, let's say by 50 each wave. So the first 10 waves will look like this. Once you take down the first boss, this pool will reduce back to what it was at wave 1, but with a slight increase, let's say by 10 points. So the next 10 waves will have a pool that looks like this. Unfortunately, I do not have the data for what each enemy value is and total amount of pool size within each wave. That data is hidden within the game files, and I don't have the capability to get that out, so if anyone does have exact numbers, be sure to let us all know. As previously mentioned, there are 12 different Horde modes, with each one having its own special twist on the classic game mode, so let's quickly cover those. Horde. This is the standard Horde mode, consisting of 50 waves and standard enemy spawns. Since there are 50 waves, matches in this mode will typically take the longest, roughly 2 hours, so people do tend to drift to shorter game modes. Horde Frenzy. A shorter version of the standard Horde mode, consisting of 12 waves instead. Mini boss waves will be removed, and boss waves will be on waves 4, 8 and 12, with the latter 2 spawning 2 separate bosses. The enemy spawning pool will also be significantly increased for each wave. Classic Horde. This is the exact same as the standard Horde mode, 50 waves except fortifications, ultimate abilities, energy and perks are all removed. Attempts to give that classic Horde experience. Classic Horde Frenzy. Also the same as the standard Horde Frenzy mode, once again with fortifications, ultimate abilities, energy and perks all being removed. Madman's Monsters. A custom mode featuring a small enemy pool with a unique enemy variant and all enemies having a custom event head in the shape of a Halloween pumpkin. This mode contains 20 waves. Jingle Juvies. This Juvie-centric mode features mainly Juvie enemies, but other enemy varieties can also be found within. Typically argued to be the easiest Horde mode to beat, energy is more limited throughout this 20 wave Horde. Predator Hunt. Another 10 wave Horde mode where the boss round is the Wakatu. You will not have a Fabricator in this mode either, and the enemies you find will always be Swarm variants. Boss Rush. If you ever wanted to fight just boss enemies, this is the mode for you. Featuring 10 waves with mainly boss enemies, usually several of each boss in each and every single wave. You do have access to the Fabricator and everything else like normal, but it's probably a good idea to not bring an engineer into this mode. Escape from Kadar. Face off against the enemies created by Niall Sampson, featuring a bunch of unique Locust hybrid enemies, lots of sires, and more matriarchs as the waves progress. 10 waves in total, though the Fabricator and abilities function as normal. Nexus Siege. Ideally suited for the map Nexus, as you face off against wave after wave of Locust forces, with a unique and iconic boss every other wave. Though you won't have the Fabricator, energy, or perks to help you out through these 10 waves. Horde Mania. This mode is a nice balance between Horde and Horde Frenzy, being a similar style to both with 25 waves in total. Time between waves is non-existent, so you will get back into the action even faster. Horde Roulette. Our final Horde variant is Roulette, which is yet another mode made up of 10 waves. Each round you will fight just 2 enemy variants selected at random from all enemies in the game. You can end up fighting rounds filled with nothing but trackers and juvies, then Swarmax and carriers on the next wave. Mutators are easy to cover. Each Horde and escape match can have up to 7 mutators enabled. As more mutators are switched on, the difficulty level is also increased. This ranges from beginner, with no mutators active, all the way up to master difficulty, when all 7 mutators are switched on. Mutators are predefined in Horde, defaulting to the following 7 mutators when choosing a random map. Only the daily featured Horde will have other options available. I will go into more detail on all the mutators and a video covering difficulty in separate videos for this series, coming soon after this one. Poisons are up next, and these have always had a strange name. As the waves progress through any mode, these poisons will be activated, giving enemies an increase to their health, damage or accuracy. Within the standard Horde mode, enemy health will increase to 200% after wave 10, enemy accuracy doubles when wave 20 is beaten, enemy damage is increased by 100% at wave 31, finally, all 3 bump up to 250% when you start your final 10 waves. These are unavoidable, so make sure you get familiar with this mechanic. Most Horde games tend to default to Horde or Horde Frenzy, with Jingle Juvies and Boss Rush being the next in line. Try all the modes out, see which one resonates with you, and take down the Horde. Keeping these videos short, like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't. Other social links are in the description box below. Take it easy guys, and I'll catch you in the next one.